Number 1. 1991 GMC Syclone. In 1991, GMC built something that sounded like a bad idea on paper, a high-performance pickup faster than a Ferrari. Then they built it, and it worked. The GMC Syclone was based on the compact Sonoma truck, but almost nothing about it was ordinary. Under the hood sat a 4.3-liter turbocharged V6 with 280 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 4-speed automatic and full-time all-wheel drive. That combination launched the Syclone from 0 to 60 in just 4.3 seconds, quicker than a Corvette, a Porsche 911, or a Ferrari 348 at the time. It wasn't a muscle truck built for burnout contests. It was engineered. The drivetrain came from performance supplier PASS, the same group behind the Buick GNX. A Borg-Warner transfer case split torque 35-65 front to rear, giving it sports car grip in any weather. Its suspension was lowered and stiffened, and the black-on-black styling made it look like a street-legal concept car. GMC sold the Syclone for around $26,000, expensive for a small pickup. But every auto magazine that tested it called it insane. Car and Driver famously drag raced one against a Ferrari 348 and watched the truck win. Only 2,998 units were built before production ended. The economy was cooling, and a performance pickup with no towing capacity was hard to sell. A follow-up, the Typhoon SUV, lasted a bit longer but met the same fate. Number 2. 1994 Chevrolet Impala SS. When Chevrolet revived the Impala name in 1994, it wasn't to chase nostalgia. It was to prove that a full-size American sedan could still move like a muscle car. The Impala SS began life as a police cruiser, literally. It used the same rear-wheel drive B-body platform as the Caprice 9 C1, complete with heavy-duty suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes, and a frame built to survive years of patrol duty. Under the hood sat the 5.7-liter LT1 VIII, the same small block that powered the Corvette, slightly detuned to 260 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque. What made the Impala SS special was how subtle it was. It came only in 3 colors: black, dark cherry metallic, or dark green gray, and rolled on monochrome bodywork with 17-inch brushed alloy wheels. No flashy badges, no fake vents, just presence. Inside, it featured a digital dashboard, leather seats, and room for 5 adults, proving that performance and comfort didn't have to live separately. On the road, the big sedan surprised everyone. It could sprint from 0 to 60 in around 6.5 seconds, handle corners with genuine composure, and cruise effortlessly at highway speeds. For a car that weighed over 2 tons, it moved with authority. It was quiet when you wanted refinement, and thunderous when you pressed the throttle. Only about 41,000 units were produced across 3 model years before Chevrolet discontinued it in 1996 to make way for the front-wheel drive Lumina. The era of full-size, V8-powered, rear-drive sedans was ending. Number 3. 1992 Dodge Spirit RT. The early 1990s weren't kind to Chrysler's performance image. But for 2 brief years, Dodge built something nobody expected: a compact, turbocharged sedan that could embarrass sports cars. The 1992-1993 Dodge Spirit RT was the last gasp of the turbo Mopar era, and it hit harder than anyone realized. Under the hood was a 2.2-liter turbo 3-inline-4, hand-assembled and co-developed with Lotus. It produced 2 24 horsepower and 2 17 pound-feet of torque, figures that rivaled the V8s of the time. With a 5-speed manual transmission and a curb weight just over 3,000 pounds, the Spirit RT launched from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, making it, as Dodge advertised, the fastest sedan made in America. That tagline wasn't hype. In 1992, it was true. The car itself looked almost invisible. There were no flares, wings, or aggressive bumpers, just a basic K-car-derived body with a small RT badge and 15-inch alloy wheels. That subtlety became part of its charm. It could line up next to a Mustang GT or a Camaro Z28, and the driver beside you would have no idea what was about to happen. Inside, it was pure early 90s, Chrysler, upright dash, cloth seats, analog gauges, and lots of plastic. But the Spirit RT wasn't built for looks. It was engineered to perform. Lotus fine-tuned the head design, and the Garrett turbocharger gave it a sudden, forceful boost that came alive above 3,000 RPM. It pulled hard all the way to redline, with a raspy mechanical sound that felt raw compared to anything else in its price range. Only 1,399 units were built across both model years, making it one of the rarest American performance sedans of the decade. It vanished quietly after 1993, buried by the rise of larger V6 cars and Chrysler's pivot toward luxury. Number 4. 1993 Lincoln Mark VIII LSC. In 1993, Lincoln unveiled the Mark VIII, a luxury coupe that proved Detroit could still blend refinement with genuine performance. It replaced the aging Mark VII and brought technology and engineering far ahead of its time. The Mark VIII LSC was built on Ford's new FN10 rear-wheel drive chassis, sharing architecture with the Thunderbird Super Coupe but tuned for grand touring. Under the hood was Ford's first-generation 4.6-liter DOHC Intech VIII, an early version of the modular engine family. It made 280 horsepower in the base model and 290 in the later LSC trim, spinning smoothly to 6,000 RPM, numbers that challenged European luxury coupes from Mercedes and BMW. Power went through a 4-speed automatic to an independent rear suspension, a rarity in American cars of the era. The Mark VIII didn't just drive well, it looked futuristic. The sleek, aerodynamic body sat lower and longer than its predecessor, featuring hidden headlamps that flipped open at night and one of the first HID projector systems ever offered on a production car. The interior was plush yet purposeful, with digital gauges, real wood accents, and deeply bolstered leather seats. It struck a balance between executive comfort and athletic intent. On the road, the LSC delivered a quiet ride until provoked, when the dual-cam VIII came alive with a smooth surge of power. It could hit 60 miles per hour in under 7 seconds. Impressive for a 3,800-pound coupe. The air ride suspension automatically lowered at highway speeds for better aerodynamics, another first for Lincoln. Production ran through 1998, with just over 126,000 units built in total. As SUVs replaced personal coupes, the Mark VIII faded quietly from showrooms. Number 5. 1993 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. By the early 1990s, the Mustang name carried more nostalgia than performance. The Fox body era was fading, and Ford needed to prove that it still knew how to build a driver's car. That responsibility went to a new division, the Special Vehicle Team, or SVT. Their first major project, the 1993 Mustang Cobra, revived more than a badge. It restored credibility. The 1993 Cobra looked subtle at first glance. Its lines were clean, its stance purposeful, and its spoiler modest. But under the hood, the 5-liter V8 was hand-assembled with GT40 heads, a revised intake, and a freer-flowing exhaust that pushed output to 235 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. It wasn't outrageous by today's standards, but the combination of torque, gearing, and balance made it one of the best driving Mustangs in years. Only 4,993 units were built that first year, instantly making it collectible. When the SN95 generation arrived in 1994, the Cobra evolved. Power climbed to 305 horsepower by 1996, with the introduction of the 4.6-liter DOHC modular VIII, a smooth revving engine that gave the car a distinct character, less raw, more refined. SVT continued to fine-tune every detail, from suspension geometry to brake upgrades, creating a Mustang that could genuinely handle curves as well as straights. The program reached its peak in 2000 with the Cobra R, a stripped-down track version producing 385 horsepower from a 5.4-liter V8. Built in tiny numbers, just 300 cars, it featured racing suspension, a 6-speed manual, and no rear seats or radio. It was the most serious Mustang ever sold by Ford up to that point. Number 6. 1998 Ford SVT Contour. By the late 1990s, American automakers were still trying to figure out how to make small performance sedans that could compete with Europe's best. Ford's answer came from its in-house performance arm, the Special Vehicle Team, with the SVT Contour. A car that proved refinement and fun could come in a compact, American-built package. The SVT Contour was based on the global Ford Mondeo platform, a chassis celebrated in Europe for its balance and handling. SVT's engineers reworked the formula with a 2.5-liter Duratec V6, hand-assembled to produce 195 horsepower in 1998 and 200 horsepower by 2000. Power went through a close-ratio 5-speed manual to the front wheels, giving the car a lively, connected feel, uncommon in its class. While those numbers might sound modest today, the SVT Contour's appeal came from how it drove. The suspension was retuned with stiffer springs and thicker anti-roll bars. The steering was razor-sharp, and the brakes were ventilated discs at all 4 corners. On a winding road, it felt planted and communicative. A true driver's car that could outcorner most larger sedans of the era. The styling didn't scream performance. Subtle side skirts, unique 16-inch alloys, and body-color trim set it apart from the base model without overstatement. Inside, the car offered bolstered sports seats, aluminum accents, and a neatly arranged cockpit. It struck a balance between European restraint and American comfort. Despite critical praise, the SVT Contour struggled commercially. With a price tag over $23,000, close to an entry-level Mustang GT, and minimal marketing support, few buyers understood what it was. Only about 11,500 units were built before Ford ended production in 2000. Number 7. 1990 Chevrolet 454 SS. When Chevrolet introduced the 454 SS in 1990, it wasn't trying to build a work truck. It was building a statement. A blacked-out street machine powered by the same kind of big-block VIII that had ruled muscle cars 2 decades earlier. The heart of the truck was a 7.4-liter 454 cubic inch VIII, making 230 horsepower and 385 pound-feet of torque. That torque number mattered more than the horsepower figure. It hit hard and early, sending the short-bed, single-cab pickup down the road with authority. Power went through a heavy-duty 3-speed automatic to a limited-slip rear axle. It wasn't built to haul lumber. It was built to roast tires. Chevrolet kept the package simple. Every 454 SS came in onyx black, with red badges and matching interior. The suspension was lowered. The rear axle ratio shortened to 4.10:1, and heavy-duty shocks and sway bars kept it composed in corners. With wider 15-inch wheels and performance tires, it handled far better than a full-size truck had any right to in the early 1990s. Performance testing at the time showed 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds and a quarter mile in the mid-15s, sports car territory for a pickup. Motor Trend called it muscle car attitude with a bed. Chevrolet refined the 454 SS over its short life. In 1991, output rose slightly, and by 1992, the truck offered new colors and a 4-speed automatic. Still, production numbers remained low, with just over 16,000 built before it ended in 1993. Rising fuel prices and insurance costs worked against it, and new arrivals like the GMC Syclone stole the spotlight. Number 8. 1993 Dodge Dakota RT. By the mid-1990s, Dodge was riding the wave of its different kind of truck reputation. The company had transformed pickups from tools into statements, and the Dodge Dakota RT was one of the boldest examples of that shift. It was a compact truck with the heart of a muscle car, a factory-built hot rod that few people remember, but no one who's driven forgets. At its core sat the 5.9-liter Magnum VIII, the same 360 cubic inch engine used in Dodge's full-size pickups and performance cars. It produced 250 horsepower and 345 pound-feet of torque, figures that made it the quickest mid-size pickup of its time. A 4-speed automatic sent power to the rear wheels through a limited-slip differential, and a lowered suspension gave it a planted, aggressive stance. Dodge engineers even borrowed suspension geometry from the Viper program to sharpen handling. The Dakota RT looked as mean as it drove. It wore body-color bumpers, flared fenders, and 17-inch alloy wheels wrapped in performance tires. Buyers could choose a regular cab or a club cab, both with minimal ground clearance and a deep exhaust rumble that made every stoplight feel like a challenge. Inside, the layout was pure late 90s Chrysler, functional, straightforward, and built around the driver, with bucket seats and white-faced gauges. Performance magazines loved it. 0 to 60 took about 6.5 seconds, quicker than many sports sedans of the day. In road tests, it outhandled most other pickups, and even some sporty coupes. It was loud, brash, and unapologetically American. Everything Dodge wanted its image to be at the time. Production stayed small. Enthusiasts loved it, but gas mileage and insurance costs limited sales. As the market moved toward bigger, more refined trucks, the RT quietly disappeared after a few years. Number 9. 1991 Ford Taurus SHO. The Ford Taurus SHO, short for Super High Output, was one of the most fascinating performance cars of the 1990s. Born from a collaboration between Ford and Yamaha, it took an ordinary family sedan and gave it the heart of a sports car. The first generation SHO arrived in 1989, but by the early 1990s, it had evolved into something special. Under the hood sat a hand-built 3-liter DOHC V6, developed by Yamaha, producing 220 horsepower, an incredible figure for a front-wheel drive sedan at the time. Later models featured a 3.2-liter version and, by 1996, a 3.4-liter VIII making 235 horsepower. All were smooth, high-revving engines capable of spinning to 7,000 RPM, a rarity in American cars of the era. The SHO wasn't just fast in a straight line. Its suspension was tuned for agility, with stiffer springs, larger anti-roll bars, and 4-wheel disc brakes. It could handle twisty roads with poise, all while seating 5 adults in comfort. Early models came only with a 5-speed manual, giving enthusiasts a true driver's connection before automatics became standard in later generations. From the outside, the Taurus SHO looked subtle, almost too subtle. it shared most of its sheet metal with the standard Taurus, adding only discrete spoilers, unique wheels, and SHO badging. Inside, the changes were equally understated. Leather-trimmed sport seats, a tachometer that read past 8,000 RPM, and a unique steering wheel design. The SHO developed a cult following for its dual personality. It could blend into commuter traffic all week, then outrun VIII Mustangs on the weekend. Yet, it remained reliable and practical. A genuine sleeper. What is Reformers? Production lasted nearly a decade, with just over 100,000 built across 3 generations. By the end of the 1990s, Ford shifted focus to larger, softer sedans, and the SHO quietly faded from showrooms. Number 10. 1996. Buick Regal GS. In the late 1990s, Buick wasn't known for excitement. It built quiet, comfortable cars for buyers who prized smoothness over speed. But hidden in that lineup was a genuine sleeper, the Buick Regal GS, a supercharged family sedan that could outrun cars twice its price while looking like something your accountant drove. The Regal GS arrived in 1996 as Buick's performance flagship. Beneath its conservative body sat GM's 3.8-liter supercharged V6, producing 240 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Power went to the front wheels through a 4-speed automatic, and while that setup didn't sound sporty, the result was astonishing. The GS could sprint from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, a number that put it ahead of several European sedans and well beyond what anyone expected from a Buick. The heart of this car was its Eaton M90 supercharger, which delivered instant torque from idle. Throttle response was immediate, and passing power came in waves. Despite front-wheel drive, torque steer was minimal thanks to careful tuning, and the car's weight distribution and suspension geometry made it genuinely competent through corners. The GS wasn't a sports car, but it was agile enough to surprise anyone who underestimated it. Inside, it offered traditional Buick luxury, plush leather seats, wood trim, and a quiet, isolated cabin. The dual-zone climate control, optional heads-up display, and steering wheel audio controls were high-tech for the time. It was built for comfort first, performance second. But the blend worked beautifully. The GS's understated nature became its defining trait. It wore only a small red GS badge and subtle wheels, giving no hint of its power. To most onlookers, it looked like a retiree's daily driver, until it pulled away from their Camaro at a stoplight. Production ended in 1999 as Buick shifted toward softer designs and luxury SUVs. Number 11. 1992. Pontiac Bonneville SSE First. In the 1990s, Pontiac called itself the excitement division of General Motors, but few people expected that slogan to apply to a full-size luxury sedan. The Bonneville SSE, I changed that. It took a comfortable highway cruiser and quietly transformed it into a genuine performance sedan with muscle under the hood and high-tech features that rivaled cars twice its price. The SSE1 sat at the top of Pontiac's Bonneville lineup and used GM's 3.8-liter supercharged Series 1 and later Series 2 V6. Early versions made 205 horsepower, but by the late 1990s, output climbed to 240 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Power came on instantly thanks to an Eaton M90 supercharger, giving the big front-wheel drive sedan surprisingly strong acceleration, 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. For a 3,700-pound family car with front bench seats, that was remarkable. Pontiac engineers didn't stop with the engine. The SSE-I featured 4-wheel disc brakes, independent suspension, and available traction control. It could carve through sweeping curves with stability that most American sedans couldn't match. The steering was sharp, the ride firm but composed, and the chassis felt tighter than its size suggested. For drivers who cared about both comfort and control, it struck a rare balance. Inside, the Bonneville looked like a concept car that made it to production. The cockpit-style dashboard wrapped around the driver with a futuristic mix of buttons and digital displays. Options included dual-zone climate control, leather sport seats, a heads-up display, and keyless entry, all advanced for the era. It was Pontiac's idea of luxury, bold, high-tech, and unmistakably American. Despite its capabilities, the SSE-I never got the recognition it deserved. It lived in the shadow of European sports sedans and Pontiac's own muscle coupes. When production ended in 1999, the model faded quietly from memory. Number 12. 1990. Pontiac Firebird Formula 350. In the early 1990s, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am grabbed most of the attention. Loud graphics, spoilers, and pop-up headlights that screamed performance. But the real hidden gem of the lineup was the Firebird Formula 350, a stripped-down muscle car that quietly delivered nearly identical power and handling without the extra weight or flash. The Formula 350 was Pontiac's version of a sleeper. Beneath its understated body sat the same 5.7-liter tuned port injection V8 found in the Trans Am GTA, producing 235 to 240 horsepower and a stout 340 pound-feet of torque. It came standard with performance suspension, four-wheel disc brakes, and the same WS6 handling package available on its flashier sibling. The result was a car that could sprint from 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds, run the quarter mile in the low 14s, and carve corners with precision. The Formula's biggest advantage was simplicity. It was lighter, cleaner, and cheaper than the GTA or Trans Am, but every bit as capable. Buyers could even order it with a 5-speed manual or an automatic, allowing purists to get the most out of the TPI V8. Inside, it shared the same driver-focused cockpit as other Firebirds, deep bucket seats, analog gauges, and a thick steering wheel that made it feel purpose-built for performance. Despite its ability, few people bought one. The Trans Am's aggressive styling drew most of the attention, and the Formula quietly sold in small numbers. As a result, well-preserved examples today are far rarer than the GTAs that once overshadowed them. By 1994, the fourth-generation Firebird arrived with new styling and engines, and the Formula 350 disappeared from the lineup. But in its day, it was one of the best performance bargains on the road, a car that delivered Corvette-level thrills at a fraction of the price. Number 13. 1998. Chevrolet Camaro Z28 LS1. By 1998, the Camaro had already earned its reputation as an affordable muscle car, but that year marked a turning point. Chevrolet dropped in the 5.7-liter LS1 V8, the same all-aluminum engine that powered the C5 Corvette, and it instantly transformed the Z28 from a fast car into a legitimate performance bargain. The LS1 was a revelation. It produced 305 horsepower and 335 pound-feet of torque in stock trim and weighed nearly 100 pounds less than the cast-iron LT1 it replaced. The result was balance and responsiveness that earlier Camaros never had. A 6-speed manual or 4-speed automatic sent power to the rear wheels, and with decent traction, the Z28 could hit 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds and run the quarter mile in the high 13s. Those numbers put it squarely in Corvette territory for nearly half the price. The chassis, carried over from the fourth-generation F-body, was refined for the LS1's extra punch. It featured a torque arm rear suspension, coilover shocks, and four-wheel disc brakes. The car's long hood and short rear deck gave it an unmistakable presence, and in Z28 trim it kept the look clean. No hood scoops or ground effects unless you stepped up to the SS package. For enthusiasts who wanted stealth performance, the Z28 was perfect. Inside, the Camaro was still pure 1990s GM. Durable plastics, analog gauges, and deep bucket seats. It wasn't luxurious, but it was driver-focused, and the view down the long hood made it feel faster than it already was. The LS1 engine proved nearly bulletproof and endlessly tunable. Owners quickly discovered that a few simple upgrades, freer flowing exhausts, and ECU tweaks could push power well past 350 horses. Number 14. 1993. Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. By the mid-1990s, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am had evolved into one of the most capable and aggressive muscle cars of its generation. It kept the long hood, short deck proportions that defined every Firebird, but underneath, the engineering caught up to the styling. The result was a car that could finally back up its attitude with genuine performance. The fourth-generation Trans Am launched for 1993 with the 5.7-liter LT1 V8, the same small block used in the Corvette. In stock form, it produced 275 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque, later climbing to 305 horsepower by 1998. Mated to either a 6-speed manual or 4-speed automatic, the LT1 gave the car a 0 to 60 time around 5.5 seconds and a top speed well past 150 miles per hour. The lightweight composite hood, four-wheel disc brakes, and improved chassis stiffness made it far sharper than any F-body before it. Pontiac offered the WS6 performance package, which transformed the Trans Am into a legitimate track day machine. It added a functional ram air hood, a freer flowing intake, wider tires, stiffer suspension tuning, and up to 320 horsepower by the late 1990s. With that setup, the car could hold over 0.9 G on a skid pad, sports car grip from an American VIII coupe. Inside, the Trans Am's cockpit was pure driver focus. Deep bucket seats, a tilt wheel, and clear analog gauges made it a comfortable long-distance car, while the optional tops and booming exhaust gave it unmistakable character. Despite its muscle, it could cruise quietly on the highway thanks to tall gearing and good aerodynamics. By the end of the decade, the Firebird Trans Am faced tightening emissions rules and shifting buyer tastes. Production continued until 2002, But the 1993-1998 models captured the best balance of raw performance and refinement. Number 15. 1992. Dodge Viper RT10. When Dodge unveiled the Viper RT10 in 1992, it wasn't just launching a new sports car. It was reviving the raw, untamed spirit of American performance. The Viper wasn't about luxury or technology. It was about power, noise, and danger. It was the modern equivalent of a bare-knuckled brawler in a world of polite grand tourers. Under its impossibly long hood sat an 8-liter V10, co-developed with Lamborghini when Chrysler owned the brand. The aluminum engine produced 400 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, figures that rivaled supercars costing twice as much. Power went through a 6-speed manual to massive rear tires, and with no traction control, no stability assist, and no anti-lock brakes, the driver had to earn every mile. The body was made of lightweight composite panels, stretched over a tubular steel frame. Doors were optional in the early years. The roof was a soft, removable cap, and side exit exhausts roasted your calves every time you stepped out. Yet, that was the appeal. The Viper was elemental, unfiltered, and brutally fast. It could reach 60 miles per hour in just 4.5 seconds and run the quarter mile in the low 12s. Numbers unheard of from an American car in the early 90s. Inside, it was all business. 2 bucket seats, analog gauges, and a thick steering wheel. No airbags, no insulation, and no distractions. Every vibration, every roar from the V10 reached you directly. It was more experience than transport. Only 2 85 units were built the first year, each hand-assembled at Chrysler's new Mack Avenue plant. The car's success stunned critics and enthusiasts alike, proving that Dodge could build something world-class and entirely unique. Number 16. 1994 Dodge Ram 1500 V10. When the second-generation Dodge Ram arrived in 1994, it completely redefined what a pickup could look like. Its semi-truck styling and bold attitude turned heads. But Dodge didn't stop at design. They added an option no one else dared to offer, an 8-liter V10, making the Ram 1500 one of the most powerful gasoline trucks of its time. The V10 Magnum engine was essentially a re-engineered version of the monstrous V10 from the Dodge Viper, built for torque rather than top speed. It produced 300 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, giving the Ram effortless pulling power. Mated to a heavy-duty automatic transmission and available in both 2- and 4-wheel drive configurations, it could tow over 13,000 pounds, staggering for a light-duty pickup in the mid-1990s. Despite the muscle, the truck was remarkably refined for its era. Dodge engineered the chassis for better ride comfort and road feel, with coil spring front suspension and improved steering response. The cabin was redesigned with a car-like dashboard, large controls, and supportive seats, helping the Ram win multiple Truck of the Year awards. But the V10 version was different. It idled with a deep, uneven rumble that reminded you of its 10 cylinders. And when you floored it, the big engine delivered continuous, turbine-like thrust. It wasn't quick in the sports car sense. 0 to 60 took just under 8 seconds, but it pulled like a freight train from any speed. Fuel economy hovered around single digits, yet owners didn't care. The appeal was in the experience. The 8-liter V10 Ram bridged 2 worlds. It had the brute power of a heavy-duty work truck and the personality of a muscle machine. It paved the way for high-output trucks like the Ram SRT-10 a decade later. Number 17. 1992 Chevrolet Tahoe or Blazer. In the 1990s, Chevrolet's full-size SUVs defined what Americans thought of as family adventure vehicles. The Chevrolet Tahoe, known as the Blazer in its early years, was built for people who wanted rugged utility without sacrificing comfort. It became the template for the modern SUV, blending truck toughness with daily drivability. Introduced in 1992 as the 2-door Blazer, it rode on the same platform as the full-size Silverado pickup. It offered a 5.7-liter V8 making 210 to 255 horsepower, and later a 6.5-liter turbo diesel V8 for drivers who valued torque over speed. With 4-wheel drive, heavy-duty suspension, and optional skid plates, the Blazer could go nearly anywhere. Yet its ride quality and interior refinement made it just as at home in suburbia. By 1995, Chevrolet renamed the 4-door version Tahoe, reflecting its shift toward families who wanted space and capability. The cabin featured wide, supportive seats, a redesigned dash, and improved sound insulation. Leather upholstery and premium audio systems turned it from a workhorse into a comfortable long-distance cruiser. With seating for up to 6 and towing capacity approaching 7,000 pounds, it struck the ideal balance between SUV practicality and truck strength. Performance was surprisingly solid for its size. The V8's torque delivered strong acceleration, and the Tahoe's chassis tuning gave it stability rare among large SUVs of its day. Off-road, its low-range transfer case and short wheelbase on two-door models made it formidable on trails, while the longer four-door variant excelled as a family hauler. The Tahoe's popularity reshaped Chevrolet's lineup. It outsold sedans, attracted new buyers, and paved the way for luxury versions like the GMC Yukon, Denali, and Cadillac Escalade. Yet, the early 1990s Tahoe and Blazer models remained special because of their simplicity, powerful engines, honest design, and bulletproof reliability. Number 19. 1992 Chevrolet Caprice 9 C1. In the early 1990s, Chevrolet built one of the toughest, most capable sedans ever to wear a bow tie. The Caprice 9 C1, a purpose-built police package car that quietly doubled as one of the best performance bargains of the decade. Long before the age of modern pursuit vehicles, this full-size sedan proved that sheer engineering and old-school VIII power could make even a family cruiser formidable. The 9 C1 package transformed the standard Caprice into a serious machine. Early versions used the 5.7-liter small-block L5 VIII, producing 205 horsepower. But by 1994, Chevrolet fitted the car with the LT 15.7-liter V8 from the Corvette. Detuned to 260 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque, it gave the Caprice acceleration unheard of for a police car at the time, 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds, faster than many sports coupes of the era. Everything about the 9C1 was designed for endurance. It had heavy-duty cooling systems, upgraded suspension bushings, bigger sway bars, high-capacity brakes, and reinforced engine mounts to survive years of high-speed duty. The rear-drive chassis gave it balance and control that front-wheel drive sedans couldn't match, and many officers preferred its predictability at high speed. Inside, the 9C1 was Spartan but functional. Vinyl floors, durable cloth seats, and simple controls made it easy to clean and hard to break. The trunk was massive, built to carry radios, weapons, and gear, or, in civilian hands, a week's worth of luggage. When the 9C1 wasn't chasing suspects, it quietly served as a fleet car, taxi, or government vehicle. But its real legacy came after retirement. Enthusiasts quickly discovered that decommissioned 9C1S offered Corvette power and bulletproof reliability for a fraction of the price. They became cult favorites among hot rodders and collectors alike. Number 20. 1990. Cadillac Eldorado Touring Coupe. The 1990s were a transitional decade for Cadillac, a time when the brand was trying to shake off its image as a builder of oversized, floaty cruisers. The Eldorado Touring Coupe became Cadillac's way of saying it still knew how to engineer a driver's car. It was a luxury coupe with real substance under the style. Built on GM's E-Body platform, the 10th generation Eldorado debuted in 1992 with a clean, aerodynamic design that replaced the sharp-edged lines of the 1980s. Beneath that elegant exterior sat a choice of powerful engines. Early models came with a 4.9-liter V8, producing 200 horsepower, while later, touring coupes received the sophisticated 4.6-liter Northstar DOHC V8 with 300 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, enough to push the 3,900-pound coupe to 60 miles per hour in around 6.5 seconds. It was quick, smooth, and unmistakably confident. What set the touring coupe apart from other Eldorados was its chassis tuning. Engineers gave it a sport-tuned suspension, variable assist steering, and electronically adjustable damping, all designed to make it handle more like a European Grand Tourer. The ride was firm, but never harsh, and the ETC maintained Cadillac's trademark composure even when pushed hard. Inside, the Eldorado blended performance with luxury. It featured deeply bolstered leather seats, real wood trim, and digital displays that were ahead of their time. Dual-zone climate control, a premium Bose sound system, and a driver information center came standard. The cabin isolated noise beautifully, turning long highway drives into quiet, effortless journeys. Although it never sold in massive numbers, the Eldorado Touring Coupe proved Cadillac could build something more than comfort. It could build capability. With around 26,000 units sold annually through the 1990s, it became a cult favorite among enthusiasts who appreciated understated performance. By the time production ended in 2002, the ETC represented the last of Cadillac's true personal luxury coupes.